Sending for a man from Africa to marry was my biggest mistake. And this is my story. Subscribe to Everything Africa so you never miss any thrilling tales and true stories. More exciting tales and true confessions await. Don't forget to click the notification bell. My name is Lorpue. I moved to the USA when I was 5 years old and now work as a nurse. 5 years ago, while on vacation in Africa, I stayed at a beautiful resort where I met Flomo, a charming but very poor young man. He sold old cell phones to make a living, but I was drawn to him because of his kindness, caring nature, and unwavering focus. He didn't seem to be motivated by money and even helped me get good deals during my vacation. One day, Flomo invited me to his home, and I was deeply moved by his harsh living conditions. Feeling compassion for him and his family, I decided to help them move to a better place. As my departure from Africa approached, Flomo was heartbroken and pleaded with me not to forget him. His parents also asked me to remember their son. I promised them that one day, Flomo would come to live with me in the USA. I truly meant it. Once I was back in the USA, Flomo was constantly on my mind. I worked overtime to ensure that Flomo and his family had a good life. It took over 4 years to finalize his papers so he could come to the USA. During that time, I sent over $250,000 to support his family. I built and equipped a clinic for his mother, a midwife, and I even shipped Flomo a car and opened a store for him. Everything was falling into place. When Flomo finally arrived in the USA, I was ecstatic. He proposed to me at the airport and I joyfully accepted. We got married, and soon after, Flomo landed his first job and became independent. I truly appreciated his independence as it allowed me to manage my busy life, juggling work, caring for my kids, and nurturing our relationship. One day, while scrolling through social media, I stumbled upon a video posted by my husband's barber, who was also married to the woman who did my manicures and pedicures. To my shock, the video showed my husband having sex with the barber's wife. By then, my husband had only been in the USA for 7 months. Watching that video was heartbreaking. I confronted my husband about it, but he didn't truly apologize. Instead, he walked out of the house and disappeared for a day. Meanwhile, the barber shared the video in various Africans in the USA chat rooms, making the situation incredibly embarrassing for me. It was a very sad and difficult time. From that point on, my husband barely spoke to me, treating me like I was the cause of all our problems. Suspicious, I started checking up on him. Reviewing the phone bill, I saw over 1,000 calls in 1 month to a particular number. It belonged to another woman. Their text messages showed they were planning to be together, and she had even promised to buy him a car. My husband told her that I had made him believe I was rich, but when he arrived in the USA, he felt deceived. Because of this, he had borrowed money in Africa to finish our project and needed to pay it back quickly. The woman had been sending him money to pay his debt in Africa. The truth is, I used to work overtime to support him and his family in Africa. Now that Flomo was here with me, I wanted to spend time with him and my children instead of continuing to work overtime. But Flomo expected me to keep supporting him financially. When I called his parents in Africa to discuss our problems, they promised to call back, but then stopped answering my calls altogether. I was left in pain and completely alone. Subscribe to Everything Africa so you never miss any thrilling tales and true stories. More exciting tales and true confessions await. Don't forget to click the notification bell. By this time, the husband of the lady on the sex tape was causing us trouble. He was driving around my house, leaving threatening phone calls. I suspected he was the one that broke our car window twice. He knew my husband was African, driving a fancy Mercedes-Benz, and that I was a registered nurse, so he tried to scare us into giving him money for my husband sleeping with his wife. We got the police involved, but I was scared. My children and I had to move in with my mother for a while. My life became miserable, but Flomo continued to be unapologetic and very arrogant. He did not care. One day, I came home and found Flomo was gone. I put in a police report for a missing person, but I had to call the police in few hours after I learned that my husband had joined the USA military and was on training. The shock and betrayal made me faint. Flomo's abandonment left me in emotional turmoil. I couldn't comprehend how the man I had fallen in love with, supported, and married could betray me so cruelly. The pain of discovering the intimate messages and the sex video had already been immense, but Flomo's departure was the ultimate blow. I felt used and discarded, my trust shattered. Friends and family tried to comfort me, but the humiliation and heartbreak were overwhelming. I had built my life around Flomo, believing in his love and our future together. Now, I was left to pick up the pieces alone. About 8 weeks after he left for the military, I saw his graduation pictures on Facebook. I couldn't believe that someone I cared for over 5 years and treated like a king in Africa could betray me like this. He didn't even invite me or my children to his special occasion. In the pictures, he was seen with a woman who he said was his aunt. But wait, when my husband was in Africa, he told me he had no family in the USA. I remember he wanted to travel first class, but I was short on money. There was no family member that could help. I tried to get him to take economy class, but he said, "Baby, I'm so happy, and I've never traveled on a plane before. I want to experience first class. I wish I wasn't so in love at that time." I finally arranged for a first-class fare, but my husband did not travel in first class. Instead, he came with the cheapest African airline and had to stay 24 hours in transit. This was the first red flag that I overlooked. I asked him why he did not buy the first-class ticket with the money I sent him, and he said someone stole the money. Flomo was telling a lie, but I was too in love to say anything. Now I see he has an aunt who cares for him so much that she attended his graduation ceremony. Wow! I called his parents in Africa to tell them what happened, but this time they answered and said they were in Africa and couldn't control him. They suggested that I bring them, his grandmother and daughter, to the USA, and they would talk to him. His daughter? Flomo has a daughter? How old is she? 5 years old? Flomo never told me about having a daughter. Why didn't anybody tell me about this child? His family is part of the scam. Wow! I politely said goodbye and hung up the phone. I haven't heard from my husband since. I learned he will be filing for a divorce and marrying another African woman. This woman, I found out, is very rich. She's a doctor and owns a chain of stores. I guess my husband left me for a wealthier woman. Determined not to let this define me, I began focusing on my own healing and growth. I sought therapy to cope with the betrayal and started reconnecting with my passions and interests. Slowly, I'm rebuilding my confidence and sense of self-worth, realizing that I deserved better than the deceit and manipulation I endured. Flomo's actions left me with lasting scars, but my resilience and strength allowed me to emerge from the ordeal stronger than before. I've become an advocate for women who have experienced similar betrayals, sharing my story to inspire and support others. In the end, I've found peace and empowerment, knowing that I survived and thrived despite the pain inflicted upon me. I look forward to the divorce. I am done, but I urge women in the Western world to be careful when considering a husband from overseas. Try to find someone locally who will love and care for you. Don't be like me. Over $250,000 gone and heartbroken. Thank you for listening. Subscribe to Everything Africa so you never miss any thrilling tales and true stories. More exciting tales and true confessions await. Don't forget to click the notification bell.